Welcome to my complete guide to Cardinal Adina from the Key of Adashim. Adina is a fairly simple fight with one extremely important mechanic that will dictate the success or failure of your raid. Certain utility, in this case reflects, can make the fight considerably easier. The encounter begins with 5 pillars already in place. You'll need to have 2 players behind each before attacking the boss. As soon as you begin, the boss will send out a blockable seismic suffering attack, dealing damage to everyone and damaging the pillars. You can avoid this damage by starting mounted or dodging just as the encounter begins. After a short delay, she will fire a projectile to every player in the raid. If the projectile hits a player, they will become downed and be afflicted with radiant blindness for 10 seconds, which cannot be removed and causes all attacks to miss. Blocking 2 projectiles with a pillar will cause it to be destroyed. Destroying all the pillars is extremely important, as every damaged pillar left alive will grant the boss 20% damage reduction and 20% increased damage. After this attack, it is safe to attack the boss. She aggroes on the player with the highest toughness, so have your tank simply face the boss away from the group. For simplicity, tank at the south and have the rest of the group remain north. Adina's most important ability, and indeed the most critical mechanic of the fight, is Tectonic Upheaval, which targets the 5 furthest players from the boss and places an AoE on them. After 5 seconds, it becomes fixed in position, and then after a short delay, a pillar will spawn, killing any player on it instantly and sending out a shockwave that immobilizes, cripples, and applies radiant blindness to nearby foes. The shockwave can be dodged or jumped, but it has a small radius, so it shouldn't be necessary if positioned correctly. Pillars should always be placed nearby to each other because, as before, you will need to have 2 players behind each shortly. Never place them in front of the boss, as her auto attacks damage them. Placing them opposite to where the boss is facing is a very easy way of dealing with this mechanic. Move out a fair distance, wait until the AoE is fixed, the AoE changes to a spiky one and sends out a precursor wave, and then move back to the boss. Be careful to not place them too close to each other, as if you do, only one will spawn, leaving 2 players without somewhere to hide from the boss. Of course, if you have 2 players dead, then destroying one is actually desirable, as this will ensure that no damaged pillars are left alive. Adina's second ability is a conal smash attack with a long wind-up. It will follow the tank for a few seconds before fixing position. The smash will knock players back but deals no damage, and destroys any pillars hit by it. This is actually a mechanic that helps you defeat the boss, as if any pillars are left damaged for some reason, your tank can point the boss towards them when she is casting this to destroy them, and cause the boss to lose her stacks of damage reduction. The tank must also deal with stalagmites. After the smash, she will summon a cone of stalagmites on the platform segments behind the tank. When they spawn, touching them will deal extreme damage in a small AoE and destroy the floor pillar they are on. This is a very easy mechanic to deal with, as you can stand directly in front of the boss, as the stalagmites only spawn behind the tank. Be careful to never place the stalagmites near pillars though, as they will make it impossible to stand behind them, leading to a sticky situation for your team. Shortly after summoning stalagmites, Adina will twirl and an eye will appear above her. Do not look at the boss or you will be blinded and take damage. She will then channel for a short time while a deadly AoE indicator expands to cover the arena. When finished, she will once again fire projectiles to every player just like the start of the fight. The same rules apply here. 2 players behind each and nobody dies and every pillar will be destroyed. The strategy I recommend here is to pre-assign what pillar players go to before the fight even begins. Because pillars are dynamic, the method must also be. I use the starting position of players to assign where everyone is going. This pillar goes to the most clockwise pillar, this pillar the second most, this pillar the middle, this pillar the second most anti-clockwise, and finally this pillar the most anti-clockwise. This strategy means that no matter where the pillars spawn, it should be clear where you have to go. For clarity, divide players into groups of 2, assign them from most clockwise to most anti-clockwise, always stick to that and you'll be fine. If any pillars remain, remember to have your tank kill them with the boss auto attacks and the smash. Be careful attacking the boss when she twirls and gets the eye, as she will have retaliation which can quickly kill you. Being hit by the rock attack while in down state will kill you for good, so watch out. Reviving players quickly is important on this fight for this exact reason. Those are all the mechanics you really have to deal with while fighting the boss. However, every 25% health, Adina will become invulnerable, detonate all stalagmites, and after a short delay summon a deadly beam spanning the whole arena that instantly kills you. The beam starts at north and south and rotates once anti-clockwise. Stay fairly close to the boss and run away from the beam. The best place to be is right behind the beam, so if you fall behind for any reason, the other end will take a while to catch up. There will be some holes in the arena, so you will have to jump here. Gliding is enabled and that can help you. Falling into the sand will not kill you, but you'll be blinded and take some damage, so try to avoid it. After the beam is finished, Adina reforms the arena and spawns 2 hands to the north, Eruption and Erosion. The Hand of Eruption will throw a rock towards every player about every 5 seconds, dealing heavy damage, bleeding, weakening, and knocking back players. These rocks are projectiles and should be reflected or destroyed if possible. If that's not something you have available, then dodging is highly recommended. The Hand of Erosion will debuff all players every 15 seconds with the Curse of Erosion, causing all players to take 15% more damage per stack. This debuff will linger into the boss phase, so you want to get through this phase fast. If you have high reflect uptime, then the Hands of Eruption effectively do nothing, so you can go for the Erosion first. Otherwise, it's best to take down the Eruption first. Having a Firebrand, preferably a heal Firebrand, can absolutely trivialize this section of the fight, and is definitely well worth it, as this transition phase can often be more dangerous than the actual boss, because of the high potential damage pouring onto the group. This is in part due to Adina, as she will still be attacking during this phase. The good news is that she always starts attacking towards the southwest, then slowly rotates clockwise. This is important later on. I highly recommend having some reflects on this fight. Guardian Wall of Reflection, Mesmer Feedback, Firebrand Reflect, Necromancer Corrosive Poison Cloud, or Tempest Magnetic Aura are all excellent options. When Adina reforms the platform, pillars that will be destroyed are marked with an orange AoE circle. Take care not to stand on one of those, as you will fall into the sand and take damage. Around Adina in the middle, she will have a spiky AoE. Do not go there, otherwise you're going to end up dead. After the hands are destroyed, the boss will reform the platform and the fight will resume. Apart from the arena being a bit different now, nothing changes. The same strategy regarding the pillars will work. Rinse and repeat until the boss reaches 50%. Because of the platform having a few gaps, the beam at 50% may require some gliding to avoid, so be careful. After running around in circles a bit, the arena reforms and 4 hands will spawn this time. Because of the way Adina attacks as mentioned previously, you want to start at the southern Erosion hand, the southeast, and then move clockwise around the arena. By doing this, you will not take any unnecessary damage. When moving from south to north, you may be hit with an Eruption hand. Stability, like Stand Your Ground, or a mobile projectile destroyer like Shield of Absorption, will prevent players from being knocked off while moving. After all those hands die, just as before, the fight just repeats until 25%. Pillar placement is a tiny bit trickier here. You may have to spread out a little more, as you don't want to place pillars directly in front of gaps in the arena, as it might be awkward to hide behind them. At 25%, stay close to the middle for an easy time during the final beam, and then hands will spawn, identical to the previous time except there are some gaps in the arena, meaning you have to do a bit of jumping when crossing from south to north or vice versa. Stability and reflect up, and then it's time to end the fight. The final 25% does have some bonus intensity. At 20%, Hands of Erosion will spawn every 25 seconds. These will quickly increase the damage your raid is taking with the curse. You can usually ignore these if you have high DPS, but they should be killed if too many players are missing, or if DPS is relatively low. Nail down just a few more pillars and Adina will be no more. A top secret tip is that if you drop into the sand just as Adina fires rocks at you, you'll get blinded for a few seconds, but you won't get hit by the rock. Some notable picks for this boss are Heal or DPS Firebrand for mass reflects, stability, Aegis, fast revives and strong sustain healing, Daredevil or Boon Thief because of the fact that Adina grants plasma for every boon in the game. This also allows your Chronomancers to take feedback and drop the quickness well. Dragon Hunter is powerful here because of its strong burst damage, blocks and potential stability. Power Chrono fulfills a similar role with feedback. In general, any DPS class works fine here, but you want to get through the hand phase as fast as possible, so power classes do have an edge in that regard. Conditions are fine though, and as usual, Necro can be very cheesy with stability and barrier. The fight has low damage output overall, but having 2 healers can make it considerably more stable, especially in the hand phase. Res power is important too, as there are a few mechanics that can instantly kill you, especially if in down state. Ground-targeted revival skills such as Signet of Mercy or Signet of Undeath can be particularly clutch here, as players who downstate within the sand can be difficult to revive otherwise. Thanks for watching my guide. You are now almost ready to destroy the Cardinal of Earth. Coming up next is a kill video with my glorious guild demonstrating the strategies outlined here, along with some commentary and helpful marker setup. Enjoy, and good luck in the Key of Adashim. Alright, let's talk about this fight. So right at the start we're waiting for the pillars to get destroyed, then we're going to go directly behind the boss and just hit it very hard. The first thing that's going to be coming up is the pillars, which we see now. Seeing as I'm playing support here, I'm going to try and grab that every single time so our DPS players can keep attacking the boss. Then, as soon as the pillar is placed, simply go back to the boss and keep DPSing. The stalagmites are going to go ahead there and get spawned there just for the tank. Don't have to worry about that though, because, well, we're doing it right, really. Then it's just a case of waiting for the eye, running behind the boss, and not killing yourself to retail. After this, because we have quite solid DPS here, we're going to be able to push it to the next phase without the next pillars even really being relevant at all. There you go. I move myself to the right-hand side of the beam here. This allows me to get an easier path around the arena and get in position to get on the hand immediately. The first hand we're going to be killing here is just going to be spawning on arrow. It is the erosion hand, because what I'm going to do now is just go ahead and put up some reflects here, so the eruption hand does nothing. We immediately burst the erosion hand, then move over to the other side and take this thing out here as well. Very, very quickly. Got reflects up again, so again, no damage taken by our team. Minimal erosion stacks, in fact 0 there. We were able to burst it down to the point where it couldn't even cast once, and then the phase is just going to repeat. There is a slight difference in how the platform is set up, so you'll notice that we're placing the pillars slightly differently here, but it's broadly the same as you can see. And that is just about it for this phase until 50%. And because of our high DPS, again, this is going to be very simplified. We're going to have to go to these pillars. I'm just applying some healing to make sure everyone is topped off across the entire arena, because we're a little bit separated here, of course. Just making sure that everyone is fully sustained, everyone is A-OK. Then it's just a case of getting the boss to 50% for the second hand phase, which is going to be coming up right now. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, it is a little bit trickier this time, bit of a gap in the platform. Don't worry about that though. Fall in the sand if you need to. You will bounce straight out of there and be able to resume your journey around the arena. Now, if you do want to make that a little bit easier, you can actually have your tank place the stalagmites over a pre-existing gap in the platform. If you're able to do that, that will minimize the amount of actual usable platform destroyed for that beam phase. And there you go. Our positioning is exactly right here for this hand phase. We just set ourselves in the southeastern corner. You can see Adina moving, just completely missing us there, flailing around wildly as we progress, taking these hands out, moving around the arena, taking down all 4 of the hands with basically no pressure on us whatsoever. It can really destabilize a little bit there if you're not careful. So using this strategy definitely makes it a lot easier. And then it's simply just back to this again. Another 25% to go to the final beam and final hand phase. Everything just repeating once over again. Nothing new in this phase. The platform is a little bit trickier to place these pillars on here. You can see us kind of jostling for a bit of position there. Even if it does go a little bit wrong, it doesn't have to be too much of a big deal. You can simply go to the outer ring and you'll be able to get line of sight on these pillars very easily no matter what. So I really wouldn't worry about it too much. And yeah, as you can see, we're just going to go for the phase hit. There it is. And this beam phase is actually by far the easiest. As you can see, the entire internal ring, as it were, of the platform is completely intact. So we can just pretty much hug that and run around in a teeny tiny little circle, and then easily in position for the final set of hands, which we are encountering right now. Just setting up some reflects as you have seen before, and getting ready for a bit of a jumping puzzle. You may have noticed that there are a few bonus gaps in the platform, really going to test your mechanical skill of Guild Wars 2 here for absolutely certain here. Oh, but we are able to make that crossing, just using stability there, because it's very difficult to have reflects up there, mobile projectile destruction, mobile reflects, unless you're a Revenant healer. So the stability means that even if you do end up taking a hit from the Eruption Hand, it won't actually do anything. It won't disrupt your team. They won't get knocked into the sand, get downsided, etc., etc., etc. So, the stability is just the insurance policy. Usually the Eruption Hand does get line of sighted by Adina's platform there, but if it doesn't happen, and you do get hit, the stability means that you have a bit of an insurance policy there. Now, as you can see, the final arrangement of the platform is a little bit annoying there. You've got to be a little bit careful with where you place your pillars, especially if you need to do more than one set of pillars here as well. You may end up having to go all the way to the outer ring, if you run out of space. If you do need to do that, then just do it, right? Okay, you're on the final stretch. You just got to pull out all the stops and get the job done, just like that. As you saw there, guys, the hands not really relevant. I think we ended up with 1 or 2 erosion stacks there, and it's pretty insignificant. You are going to be taking a bit more damage, but certainly not the end of the world. Of course, if you do have a few players down, a few players dead, or something like that, or your DPS perhaps is you're new to the fight, so it's not completely on point yet, then you may want to consider killing those hands. But even on progression, we actually didn't. We just pretty much went full YOLO and just got the job done. And hey, it worked out pretty well for us, and so it's going to work out pretty well for you. And that is the end of the live commentary. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this guide was useful, and of course, good luck. If you do have any questions about this boss, or indeed raiding in general, feel free to ask me in the comments, or just stop by on Twitch. I'm streaming every single day, raiding, PvPing, world versus world, so if you've got anything you want to know about Guild Wars 2, anything specific, class, bosses, then that is absolutely the place to be. Check it out, okay? Stop by, follow, subscribe, give me that cash, But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you around.